The Switch's library is just massive. There's loads of first-party games, third-party games, games. There's so many games. So it's no surprise that sometimes good games get lost in the sauce. Hidden gems is a term that gets bounced around very often, but there really is some awesome games on the Switch that are not talked about nearly enough. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 games that are definitely worthy of that title. These 10 games are great games that go under the radar far too often, and most certainly need to be better known to Switch players of all types. These are quality games through and through, and are worthy additions to your Switch library. We got a lot to cover today, so hang on, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and here's 10 hidden gems for the Nintendo Switch. We are going to start this list off with an adventure game, A Night in the Woods. This is a really wonderful adventure game. You take the role of a character named May, who's returning home after dropping out from college. What you find out through this adventure is a lot of things have changed for May, and it isn't the town she once knew. Also, there is something mysterious going on in the woods nearby the town. I don't want to spoil the story too much, but this game just has a really engaging story and lots of interesting characters. A lot of adventure games can get tedious at times, but this game does not suffer from that. It keeps a good pace, and the adventure lasts for the right amount of time. It'll take you somewhere between 8 to 12 hours to complete the first time through. For adventure games, that's not too bad, as some can overstay their welcome by lasting too long. There is replayability though, as there are a bunch of secrets to find. Also, this game has some very excellent music. I found myself listening to the soundtrack long after the game was over. It's just a really good quality adventure game that needs to be enjoyed by more people. On a console that is dominated by racing games like Mario Kart, as well as the EA remasters of Burnout Paradise and Need for Speed, this next game doesn't get mentioned nearly as often as the others. But let me be the first to tell you, this is one of the best racing games on the Switch, if not the best racing game on the Switch. Unlike a lot of racing games, Grid Autosport opted for the digital-only route, which might be possibly the reason why it's just not mentioned nearly enough. Not only that, it is a port of an older game that was released very late for the Xbox 360 and PS3. Regardless, Grid Autosport has been built for the Switch, featuring some fantastic graphics, as well as lots of control options. First of all, there's lots of graphics modes. There's a quality mode that locks the game at 30 FPS, but allows the game to look gorgeous, as well as a performance mode that lowers the graphics but allows for a higher FPS, and even a handheld graphics mode that allows the Switch to conserve battery life. I personally opt to play in quality mode, and the game just looks so good on the Switch. I've had people personally say to me that they cannot believe this is running on the Switch. Graphics aside, there's a ton of racing to do, with 5 different discipline styles, and loads of events in career. That's not even including the extra championship mode, so you'll be racing for ages with everything you can do. As for controller options, you can use the Joy-Cons and Pro Controller of course, but there are settings for the Hori Wheel, Nintendo Labo, GameCube support, and even motion controls. They've added a bunch of updates after, including online mode, and even a high-res texture pack to make the game look even more beautiful. The amount of care and detail in this game is phenomenal. This game is so good, and you absolutely need to own it if you like racing games. If you were to ask me what I think are the best Sega Master System games, one of those answers would definitely be Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. Because of how dominating the NES was here, this game just isn't as well known outside of retro enthusiasts. Also, coupled with the fact that there are so many 2D games on the Switch, the remake just does not get mentioned nearly enough as other games. So it's like a double whammy. It's a remake of a game for a console that just wasn't that popular here in the States, and the fact that there's just so many 2D games, it's just got lost in the sauce. Well, let me tell you, this game absolutely rocks. It's beautiful. Look at these graphics. Its hand-drawn animations are absolutely amazing, and its reorchestrated soundtrack is just beautiful. It's a 1-to-1 remake of the original, and in fact, you can switch back to the Sega Master version at any time. The gameplay has great Metroidvania elements, which mean it encourages exploring, and you definitely want to savor every little bit of this adventure. Playing this game just brings a smile to my face. It's perfectly balanced, fun addicting gameplay, and just speaks volumes to how good it was then, but it's so lovingly remastered here. It's just one of the best 2D games on the Switch. Do not miss out on this game. When constructing this list, I realized if I included the Dragon's Trap, I have to include Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. This is the latest game in the Wonder Boy and Monster World series, and features everything you expect from a modern release, with more secrets and paths, longer game, more forms, memorable boss fights, everything. This game has a hand-drawn look as well, and a fantastic soundtrack too. I will say though that this game is a bit harder than the Dragon's Trap, so don't be surprised if it kicks your butt a little bit. But both this and the Dragon's Trap remake are just wonderful games. You really should get both games. As far as why this one is not nearly talked about that much, the physical for this was a bit limited and got really expensive to own. Though thankfully there has been a re-release of the physical version in the last year. That's probably why it got passed over a bit. But again, both are quality games and some of the best the Switch has to offer, and they definitely deserve another look. I've said it before, Rising Hell is the best roguelike game you've never played. It's a fantastic 2D action platformer that just really embraces its heavy metal rock feel, from the graphics to the soundtrack to the gameplay. Because of being a roguelike, it's just great in short spurts, but the gameplay is adrenaline filled and it's addicting when you get a good run in, trying to defeat bosses and ascend with as much power and health as possible. What I really appreciate about this game is every time I play the game, it never feels like a waste, even if you have a bad run. You earn gems that you can cash in for future upgrades, as well as unlock extra characters. Even with the control scheme being pretty simple, access to various powers and smoothness of gameplay make this action game shine. I did a review of this game a while back, as well as some additional gameplay that dives more into what the game is about, so if you want to check it out, I'll have a card in the top right that you can click on. It's just a really solid game that checks a lot of boxes for me, and one that I think you should really check out too. Shadowverse Champions Battle shocked me. When I first played the lengthy demo back in 2021, I wasn't expecting much. Just another video game TCG, right? Oh no, I was wrong. This is possibly the best TCG video game that I've played in years. First of all, the quality, here with anime cutscenes, tons of voice acting for the cast and cards, a Saturday morning-like cartoon story. With that, its presentation already stands above most TCG video games. Though gameplay is where it's at, with its easy-to-understand mechanics and fast gameplay that is just addicting. What really impresses me about this game is the ability to have so many different cards, so many different ways to attack and build decks, but not make it feel overwhelming. Most TCG video games, heck most card games, cannot master that. Most fall short of that. They just become too confusing or too overwhelming for a newer player. Shadowverse Champions Battle gets the balance right. But the best thing of all is the game itself is all you need. You do not need to buy DLC to enjoy this game fully. If you're bad at making your own deck, don't worry, there's a bunch of different card themes, but the game also allows you to play with already created decks that you earn throughout the story. This game reminds me a lot of Pokemon TCG on the Game Boy from years ago, and that's a good thing. Seriously, if you like TCGs, try the demo. I can guarantee you'll be hooked by the end of it. And even if you don't normally like TCGs, give it a go. You might be surprised. This is a Switch exclusive too, so you can't find this on any other platform. I called this game my hidden gem of 2021, with so many not knowing this game is good. Seriously, check it out. One of my favorite types of video games is rhythm music games. It's kind of a guilty pleasure for myself, though I realize that they are often very niche, and I think some people get turned off because of heavy emphasis on complex controls or lack of variety in gameplay. I think the Taiko series actually tries to tackle those issues. Taiko no Tatsujin Drum and Fun for the Switch is both easy to understand, with loads of gameplay variety that everyone can enjoy. There's tons of songs in Taiko mode, but there's also a fight mode, online battle mode, and tons of party games that can be played up to 4 people so that everyone can join in the fun. There's tons of unlockables too. It's just a really packed in game. You can of course play it with a drum controller, but there's motion controls and there's gamepad controls too. So it's got a really easy control scheme. In fact, because it only has 4 types of notes, it's pretty easy to play and enjoy, at least at the lower difficulties. For myself, I find this as a game where I just want to de-stress and chill out for a while. Though there is some challenges there too, if you want to pursue it. This game regularly goes on sale for $9.99 too, so when it does, this is an absolute value at that price. And now there's a sequel coming to the Switch, so maybe more people will realize how great this game is. Even if you haven't played rhythm games before, this is a great entry point, and there's something for everyone to enjoy in this title. For this next one, I'm going to double dip in rhythm games for a moment, because I feel like they get neglected so easily by the wider base of Switch users. Another good rhythm game that doesn't get talked about much is Superbeat Xonic. It's got a ton of songs to play, and the gameplay has a good balance between its difficulties. You can choose to play it between touch controls or through the more optimal button controls. Nearly 60 songs, you can play by creating your own set list from the songs the game gives you, or by taking on the World Tour mode and try to complete an ever-increasing amount of challenges. There's also a bunch of unlockables that give you bonuses or adjust sound effects. It's just a really fun rhythm game for all skill levels that has a really pumped up soundtrack. It's just an overall fun experience and one that's definitely worth checking out. While most adventure games go for a 2D look, Silence opts for a 3D look that looks absolutely gorgeous and admittedly stands above all other adventure games on the platform. It features a great story and wonderful voice acting. Unlike A Night in the Woods, this one is more akin to point-and-click adventure games, but that's not a bad thing. The simple gameplay experience does not get in the way of a wonderful story. It's a game that you want to go in not knowing too much, so I'm not even going to spoil the story here, not even going to talk about the story. Just know that the game is really good. The big reason I include this on this list really is for the fact it goes on sale so often at $1.99 that it gets overlooked so much. I mean, you probably have wondered, if it's $2 so often, is it even good? But don't let that fool you. When it does go on sale, it's worth every penny, and I challenge you to find a better game at $2. There are not many that are even remotely this good at that cost. I was kinda at odds of putting Astral Chain on this list. Out of all the titles here, this is probably the one that sold the most on the Switch easily, but even then, there's so many people who don't know how amazing this game is. I mean, it was really evident this past holiday season when Nintendo announced a sale for the game, and a lot of people on social media were like, "What's Astral Chain? Never heard of it." Astral Chain is from the same people that brought you Bayonetta, which means over-the-top action gameplay. This game looks beautiful, runs amazing on the Switch, but the gameplay mechanics with your Legion is truly the best part of the game. There are so many ways to attack and counter enemies. I also really like the detective aspects of the game where you try to solve cases. They serve as a nice balance to the action-packed segments in each mission. This is one I've been enjoying a lot recently and just love how awesome it is. It's blown me away. It's top quality and a must-own. It's just one of the best games the Switch has to offer. And there's 10 hidden games for your Nintendo Switch. There is just so many games on the platform now that it's no surprise, again, that some are just getting lost in the sauce. But these 10 I feel are worth checking out by more people. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. If this video proves to do well enough, I'll probably come back with another list, as I definitely have some more games that I consider to be hidden gems. For now, let me know in the comments down below what games you consider to be hidden gems for the Switch. I always look forward to seeing those comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, don't delay. Subscribe today so you don't miss any of my videos I post each and every week. And of course, I always like to take time to shout out to my Patreon subscribers. You guys rock. Thank you for your support. It helps out this channel greatly in funding videos. If you like the channel and wish to additionally support it, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/GameCamiller. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.